Well, I did plan to do this as a normal car review, where I stand outside the front of the car and look at all of the features and how good it looks. Unfortunately, the weather has conspired against me today, so I'll be doing it from the dry confines of the interior of the MG ZS EV. Oh, by the way, this is Four Wheels and a Seat, where I review a new car every week. My name is Alex Dalrymple, and if you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button down below. And of course, as luck would have it, now that I've packed everything up and driven off, it's stopped raining. Oh well, I'm here now. So as you might have noticed, the number of EVs on the road over the last few years has exploded. And the cheaper ones that have been available just really haven't been very good. They've been low range, maybe not made very well, and just not very good cars. The more expensive ones have been really, really good, but they're up into luxury car territory and out of reach of a lot of car buyers. But now MG have come along with the ZS EV and made what I think could potentially be the best electric car on the road. And it's also the cheapest. I'm not normally a fan of cars that need to scream their electric credentials out to the rest of the world, but looking at the ZS, they've taken the regular model and haven't really made a huge number of changes to it, but it is still identifiable as an EV, and the blanked out grille at the front is the biggest giveaway about that. But I think in this case, it actually looks pretty good. It's a better looking front end than the Kona electric, for example. They've also included the charging plug up the front there, which has capacity for both normal and high speed charging. From the side, it's a pretty typical SUV affair. We've got roof rails up on top, and the wheels are 17 inches with some aerodynamic wheel covers to improve efficiency. The back looks pretty good too. Underneath the tailgate is a 359 litre storage space, which is alright for the class. A couple of little extra storage pockets on the side there, and you can of course increase the space even further by lowering the 60-40 rear folding split seats. Underneath the bonnet, there's a fair amount of space as the electric motor doesn't really take up very much room. It produces 130 kilowatts of power and 280 newton meters of torque. It's connected to a 50 kilowatt hour battery, which sits underneath the car and can get to 80% charge with a high-speed charger in around about 54 minutes. On a full charge, you'll get 320 kilometers of range, or so MG claim. In my experience, probably 280 is a more realistic number. Still pretty good. The interior is where this car stands head and shoulders above other entry-level EVs because it is actually really nice in here. There's a nice mixture of materials, not too much harsh, scratchy plastic. It's a really good-looking contemporary design, especially when compared to something like the Nissan Leaf, for example. The center console screen is 10 inches, and the software that's on it is so much better than the software found in this car's larger brother, the HS. That system is one of the worst I've used in recent times. This is really, really good. It's at the opposite end of the spectrum altogether. The graphics are really sharp, it looks really good, it's a nice design, it's easy to find things. It can be a little bit unresponsive at times, but I'm willing to overlook that because it just looks and feels so much better. The native navigation on this is really, really good. Again, so much better than the HS. There's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You will need a USB cable to use them. A storage tray for your phone underneath that. No wireless charging, unfortunately, but we do have two USBs, a USB-A and a USB-C, plus a 12-volt outlet there. The lower center console is really the only place where we find much in the way of piano black in this car, which is nice for a change. So we've got the drive mode button here for the three drive modes of Sport, Eco and Normal. The KERS button, which allows you to adjust the amount of regenerative braking. It doesn't quite allow for one pedal driving this car like some other EVs, but you can feel that it does slow the car down a little bit more, especially when you're in level 3. The battery allows you quick access to the battery screen on the center console. We've got a nice rotary dial here to change gears and a big button in the middle there for park. Middle of the console, we've got more of this nice leather with red stitching here, which again is a bit of a premium touch for a entry-level car. So that is really nice to see. A couple of cup holders, a little slidey door that covers those up as well, and a reasonably well-sized center console bin. This car has a full digital instrument cluster with a center screen that allows you to cycle through a few different display modes, showing you how charge is moving around the car and also various stats about your trip and the state of the battery. The two displays on either side of that screen are actually old school LED segment displays, and they just very simply show you your speed and the amount of power that you're either taking out of or putting back into the battery, and there's some colored indicators on the side of those that go around the outer edge. The steering wheel, same as the HS. It does feel maybe just a little bit more plasticky perhaps, but it's a good wheel and has a nice flat bottom, which makes it really nice to throw around into corners. A separate little stalk down here to activate the adaptive cruise control. It's fairly easy to use, a little bit fiddly, but I managed to work it out in about 30 seconds. The seating position in the car is actually pretty good. I've got good visibility out the front and good visibility all round, actually even in the rear vision mirror, although the tailgate is quite high up, so you will be relying on your reversing camera to see immediately what's behind you. The seats are cloth in this entry-level car, and they're actually pretty comfortable. I actually quite like them. I don't get uncomfortable in these at all. No electric adjustment, unfortunately. Everything's manual, and it did take me a little while to get my seat just right, but got there in the end. The problem with the steering wheel, though, is that there is tilt adjustment, but no reach adjustment. So if the interior of the MG ZS EV is so good, surely they must have cut some corners in the driving experience. It's got to be slow and have a very small range and just not be very nice to drive at all. That's not the case. This car is actually really, really good to drive. And for an entry-level model of the cheapest EV you can buy, that's actually almost surprising because this car is great to drive. I actually really like it. There is plenty of go. It's not slow at all. Even in normal mode, you put your foot down and you get that little kick back into the seat. Put it in sport mode and it's stronger still. This is really quite surprisingly good. The 300 odd kilometers of range you get out of this car, yep, it's not class leading, but you know, if you live in the city and you can charge easily at home, that's plenty. That's more than enough. If I did have one criticism of the driving experience, it's that the steering is just a bit on the light side. It's got very little road feel at all, but it's amazing actually how quickly you get used to it. It was just a bit of a sudden shock to me going from a front wheel drive internal combustion engine car which had a lot of torque steer into this, which really has no feel in the wheel at all, but you really do adjust to it pretty quickly. There's also no fake electric motor noise, there's just the genuine sound of the electric motor spooling up and spooling down. And look, it does sound a little bit like an electric train, but it's satisfying. One crucial function they have skipped on this car is blind spot monitoring. There's none, so you will be craning your head around to check those blind spots when you're merging. It was a real missed opportunity that Mazda didn't make the MX-30 a bit more like this, because that is a really slow, anemic car to drive, whereas this is just so much better. Let's see how we go around a hairpin here. That's pretty good. There's not a lot of body roll. It actually stayed pretty flat. And we're not getting any wheel spin either. So it's applying the power to the front wheels, and I'm not getting any slippage even though the roads are a little bit wet. At just under $45,000 drive away, the MG ZS EV is Australia's most affordable electric car. And I think it's pretty much the best one you can get in terms of value for money. It's not the fastest, it doesn't have the longest range, but the combination of great design, good materials, great build quality, and just being a fun car to drive makes this probably the best EV you can buy at the moment for the money. It is exceptionally good value. It also comes with a 7-year warranty and an extensive dealer network, which is something that rivals BYD don't have. They've actually outsourced a lot of their servicing to my car. So if you're thinking about taking a step into the world of EVs, I would definitely think about the MG ZS EV. It's one of the best you can get.